One of the questions that I get pretty frequently is, Dr. Bright, I want to date. I'm a single mother and I want to date, but I'm scared to date because of things like this, because of the prevalence of something that could happen to my baby. I don't want to bring a man around because it's just too risky. And so now I can't even date. I can't even have, a significant other or a boyfriend or whatever the case may be because I'm just too afraid. And so I just avoid it altogether. But what should I do? So let me give you the honest answer. I understand that you want to date and you deserve to date and find somebody to love you and all that good stuff. We all deserve love. But the best thing that you can do if you are a single mother that is wanting to date, you have to look at a few factors. You have to take into account the gender of your children. If you have girls, you're just going to have to be more cautious. And this is not to exclude the boys, the sons, because sons can get molested too, and they do. But it's at a much higher rate. And so I'm speaking to the women, the girls, the daughters, because that's what I can speak to in my experience. If you have daughters, number one, you got to be more cautious. So keep that in mind. Number two, what are the ages of your daughters? And then number three, how much access do you plan on giving this new man as far as your household and being around your daughters? And so I would say if you are a single mom that has young girls, you have to be mindful of introducing men too soon to your daughters. So don't do it. I'm just going to be straight up. Just don't bring, for real, just don't bring new men around your kids too early. That's just a straight up dating no anyway. Let's just not let your daughter see, new men coming around. It's different if he's somebody that you've gotten to know. You've been dating for an extended period of time. Things are getting serious. You might be planning on marrying this person. Then sure. But if it's not somebody that you're planning on marrying, taking seriously to that extent, then I wouldn't even bring them around at all, honestly. And when I say young girls, um, it could be teens on down. So it's a wide range of the age that young girls are victimized. And it's unfortunate. And I'm not saying that you can't date at all. I'm just saying that be mindful having young girls. Be mindful if they're especially younger to where they can't speak up for themselves or even don't even know what's going on. You're talking about 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. Those ages tend to not even know like what is going on. A teenager will be more susceptible to be like, wait a minute, like I know this is wrong. So there's a difference. So you have to have discernment as a mom on just that alone. as far as letting a man into your life is very, let me just be straight up. I've seen husbands molest their own biological children. I'm talking about church leaders and the whole nine. So it's unfortunate that there's not 100%. There's not a 100% surefire way to protect your daughter. There's things that we can put into place, like you just being diligent and making sure that you are aware of the relationships, of the dynamics, of the behaviors, of interactions. And the first time, I mean, the very first time that you see or think something is not right, you better trust your guts. As a woman and as a mother, it is our job to protect our children. But as a woman, though, you have discernment, a God-given ability, and you got to trust that the first off the rip, trust it for real. Don't second guess it. Don't be like, I wonder. Nope. You trust it. And you intervene in whatever way however that looks. So again, I would say you have a daughter, especially if they're younger, but just a daughter in general. It's unfortunate, I know. And then you have to be very diligent, very vigilant about who you let around your babies. Obviously, we're not letting any Tom, Dick, and Harry come in the presence of our children, especially our young girls, our girls. So I'm assuming that this is somebody that if they have met your daughters and this, new boyfriend or whatever the case may be that you have, then it needs to be in a public setting. If they're meeting, because you want her to feel comfortable. That's just, I'm just telling you. And once, you have to get to a place of comfort and trust in order to even get to the place of, somebody becoming your spouse or you becoming, serious about this person. Because not all men are molesters or abusers. So I'm not saying that at all. But unfortunately, it's just too hard to tell which ones who are like that and who are not. I've seen the most dedicated church-going husbands be the very ones that will abuse their own daughters. Step parents are even more likely to be sexually abusive. What I can tell you is, besides just watching and not letting men too close too soon to your daughters, just always be mindful of the proximity of their relationships. Always just keep it, And as a mother, trust your gut. You have to. That can save your daughter's life because it's a lifelong journey. It's lifelong. And it could change the trajectory of her life, of her mental health, of her well-being, of her emotional health, of the way that she sees men and the way that she approaches relationships and the things that she allows. And so, if you are a mother that is looking to date and you have daughters in your home, use your discernment. Never ever put a man or your personal needs over your daughter's safety. So that means go ahead and date, but date outside of the house. Go date at his house. Okay. He doesn't need to necessarily come and be laid up over your house, spending the night over your house, all of that stuff. And if and when it gets to the point where you want to get serious, this is a long-term thing, then at that point you need to have a talk with your daughter and educate them on safety, on themselves, and making sure that they understand touch, good and bad touch. And what's funny is I heard someone say before, somebody I was working with, that it was a mother who asked her daughter, have you ever been hurt by, my boyfriend? Have you ever been, badly touched? And the little girl kept telling her, no, no, mom, no, I've not. And you want to know why she said no, even though she was being abused? She said no, she had not been hurt or experienced bad touch because the touch wasn't hurtful. It didn't physically hurt her. Thank goodness. The molestation wasn't forceful or aggressive or anything like that. She actually, because our bodies betray us, and being a kid, you don't know if something's wrong or right. You just know what feels good or what doesn't feel good. So in her innocence, it didn't feel bad. And so we have to be careful about teaching our daughters about touches that are considered to be bad. Well, what is a bad touch then? If it doesn't hurt, if it actually kind of feels okay, it might even feel good. Then once you've had that talk, that it needs to be clear. It needs to be really clear. It needs to be really clear that your daughter knows that she comes first while you're navigating this relationship. I know from a biblical standpoint, the man is the head of the household, the man comes first and all this stuff. I get that. But while you're dating, while you're trying to figure things out, while you're maybe engaged and all that stuff, at the end of the day, the safety of our children come first. When they tell us something that's bothering them, that needs to come first. And so what would a dating life look like then? Dr. Bright, you're saying that, goodness, I can't bring my boo to my house. I probably shouldn't introduce him to my children. I probably, maybe I shouldn't date at all if I have daughters. What are you saying? I'm saying that go date, but I'm saying date outside of the house as much as possible. Don't allow this new man to come spend the night and be hanging out, doing all that stuff. Get to know him first. And the way that you can help to minimize the risk of childhood sexual abuse for your daughter is to make sure that you're healed and that you have discernment and that you're not in a space that is seeking companionship so bad that you're kind of willing to overlook red flags. So make sure you've done the work for your own self and heal from whatever childhood traumas that you have. So you're not showing up as a woman that is seeking, you know, love or companionship to the point where you are willing to overlook things that are not healthy, the red flags, toxic behavior. So I'm saying, not only for yourself, honestly, for that future man, honestly, if you want to attract a whole, healthy man, you have to be whole and healthy yourself. And even you can do all these things, mom, and you can still end up in a situation, because I've seen it happen, where your daughter is victimized. I'm not trying to tell you this to scare you or to sway you or to make you go into becoming a nun or anything like that. I'm just telling you the truth. So you got to take this information and do with it what you will, because the statistics do not lie. The numbers do not lie. 1 in 4 girls are victims of childhood sexual abuse. And so my heart goes out to you, for, you're wanting to be loved. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be loved. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on that. There's nothing wrong with companionship and wanting to be loved. I believe that God made man and woman for that reason. Okay, so, but we just have to do it with more discernment, from a place of healing, and from a place of making sure that our number one goal and job as a mom is to protect our daughters, to love them, to take care of them, but to protect them, because she depends on you. You're it for her. You are it for her. I was raised by a single mom, so I understand from a kid's point, being in a situation and seeing my mother have to navigate dating, and it didn't go the way that she wanted it to go. That's why I'm here today talking to you. Okay? So be mindful. Be mindful. Just be aware that it raises the stakes when a step parent is involved, and especially when it's a male step parent with female stepchildren. Okay? So I'm saying all of this with love. I want you to be happy. You deserve love. You deserve a companion. Who knows? You may go out and find and date a godly man that loves your daughters just as much as if they were their own, and would never lay a hand on them and would never think about it. But I say all that to say he can be all of that and present himself as all of that and be everything that you thought he was. And he can still have that in him. He can still have the ability to hurt your daughter. So just never take your eyes off of your daughter, in the sense that just, be mindful. Don't ever get too, just relax. And when I say that, make sure you have open, honest conversations with your daughter. I would have them in front of and with my boyfriend, soon to be spouse, and my daughters, we bring everybody to the table. hey, and I will just have the conversation. Hey, this is a, unfortunate conversation that we have to have, but Dr. Bright said that 1 in 4 children, 1 in 4 girls are affected by childhood sexual abuse, and it's even higher when it comes to step parents. And so I want everybody to know at this table, you boyfriend, you daughters, that I'm aware of that, and I want us to have an open and honest conversation just about how we can work together as a unit. So of course, make sure it ain't never happening up in here. But two, to also let both of you know that I'm very aware, I'm very informed, I'm very knowledgeable. And even if it's not for our family, maybe we can help the next family. We can spread the word, because 1 in 4 is crazy. 1 in 4 is crazy, for real. It breaks my heart, for real. And so don't be afraid to have those conversations. Be upfront. Let them know this is how I'm coming into the relationship, with my daughter's safety on lock. So it's not about trusting and trust issues and all this. This is about stats and statistics. There's nothing personal. So tell him not to take it personal, boo. This is real life. And again, it's not to make you overly, just stressed and worried, but just being mindful, being vigilant, and being diligent about protection. Okay. So I love you. I want you to know that you deserve happiness and healing. And I'm sure that your happiness and healing will unlock the abundance in your life that was meant for you in every aspect, whether that's in your relationships, your finances, just whatever. But we want you to be a mother and a woman that is healed, that is knowledgeable, and that uses her gift of discernment. Because your daughter is depending on you more than you'll ever, 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 ever know how much all of this will mean and make a difference in her future for years and years and years to come.